Welcome back to Her Living Word, Episode 7, Rahab, Faith. Behind the walls, today we meet a woman whose life was surrounded by walls, both the towering walls of Jericho and the invisible walls of her past. Her name was Rahab. She wasn't a queen, a prophetess, or even a woman of high reputation. She was known as a prostitute, surviving in the margins of her city. By all accounts, she seemed like the least likely candidate to be remembered in God's story. But that's exactly why her story matters. When Israel drew near to the Promised Land, the city of Jericho stood as the first obstacle in their path. 2 Israelite spies slipped into the city to scout the land, and where did they end up? At Rahab's house, a place that might have seemed ordinary, even hidden, but what happened next would change everything. The king of Jericho heard that spies were in the city and demanded Rahab to hand them over. In that moment, Rahab had a choice. Would she protect herself and remain loyal to Jericho? Or would she side with the God she had only heard about? Against all odds, Rahab risked everything, her safety, her reputation, even her life, to hide the spies on her rooftop under stalks of flax. And then she spoke words that echo through history. I know that the Lord has given you this land, for the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on the earth below. Think about that. A woman who grew up outside of God's covenant, who likely never worshipped at his altar, declared faith in him with a boldness that even many Israelites struggled to show. Her faith wasn't polished, but it was powerful. She trusted that God was bigger than the walls around her, bigger than her past, and bigger than her fears. In return, the spies made her a promise. When the walls of Jericho fell, Rahab and her family would be spared if she tied a scarlet cord in her window. That red cord became her lifeline, her declaration of faith hanging for all to see. When the day came, the Israelites marched, the trumpet sounded, and Jericho's walls crumbled. But Rahab's house stood firm. Her faith had written a new ending to her story. She and her family were saved, and that could have been the end of her story, rescued, spared, given a second chance. But God didn't stop there. Rahab was welcomed into Israel. She married Salmon, an Israelite, and from their line came Boaz, who married Ruth. Generations later, from that same family tree, came Jesus Christ. The prostitute of Jericho became a woman in the lineage of the Savior. Her past didn't disqualify her. Her faith redefined her. Rahab's story reminds us of this truth. Your past may be messy, but it doesn't have the final word. Faith does. One step of courage, one moment of trust, can open the door for God to rewrite your entire future. So if you feel like your mistakes, your reputation, or your history have locked you in, remember Rahab. Remember the scarlet cord, a symbol of hope tied to her window, a declaration that she believed God could make a way where there was no way. Her faith behind the walls became her doorway into God's promise. And the same God who lifted her story can lift yours too.